For years, Garmin watches were synonymous with transflective MIP or memory in pixel displays. It's not the most exciting type of display to look at, but it has some key strengths like the ability to see it in bright daylight and battery efficiency. For people looking for a long-lasting fitness tracking watch, it was the ideal type of display. Slowly but surely though, Garmin started adding AMOLED displays to its lineup of sports watches. It started with the Venu, and now we have one in the latest Epix. I'm Cam Bunton from Pocket-lint, and this is our Epix 2nd generation review. And while you're here, if you do like this video, please do leave a thumbs up, subscribe and tap the notification bell to make sure you don't miss any more of our uploads. It's no exaggeration to say the newest Epix is, in essence, a direct copy of the Fenix 7. Garmin has used the same case design, materials and button layout as its flagship range. That is, if we're speaking about the regular Fenix 7, because unlike its sibling range, the Epix doesn't come in different sizes. It's a one-size-fits-all 47mm case, which might be too big for some smaller wrists. There's no wide range of colours and finishes either, really. You can get it in 4 different combinations, but only 3 metal finishes. You get a silver slate-coloured steel model, and the other 3 come with titanium casing, either in dark grey or silver. The most expensive models also come with sapphire crystal glass on the front, with the top-tier SKU shipping with a thick brown leather strap. And just like the Fenix, it's equipped with a 22mm quick-fit strap, which makes it really simple to just unclip it and clip on a replacement whenever you fancy a change. The downside is that it's a proprietary mechanism, and Garmin's own brand straps are quite expensive. Plus, with Garmin not being as mainstream as Apple Watch, there aren't that many third parties making cheaper alternatives. It's a rugged looking watch as you'd expect, and it's built to survive the elements, especially the sapphire models, which have the more durable and scratch resistant lens over the screen. With 100-meter waterproofing and military standard resistance against shock and temperature, it can really take a beating. None of this is new or unique to the Epix though, but that's not really the point. If you wanted a watch from Garmin with a bright, colourful AMOLED display in the past, that meant sacrificing on the durability somewhat. With the new Epix, you no longer have to. The screen is the one single element of the Epix experience that makes it stand out from the Fenix. We knew that before we even got our hands on it. Perhaps what surprised us was exactly how different that display would make things, in more ways than one. Being an AMOLED panel, of course, means it's much brighter than the traditional Garmin MIP displays. It's more colour-rich and has a higher contrast too, and that makes everything much easier to see. At least when there's no bright daylight shining on it. That's not just a nice-to-have feature, that makes a real difference every day, whether you're checking the time or just checking notifications. You see it clearer, and it's more noticeable during activities too. The more vivid, brighter panel makes text, colours and data just more easily visible. It's a sharper panel than the transflective displays too, at 416 by 416, which is significantly more than the 260 by 260 on the Fenix. Fine lines and text looks sharp, and no longer has that slightly rough look to it. More crucially though is that it's enabled Garmin to add even better maps to the watch for navigation. Rather than quite a simple map graphic, the maps on the Epix are rich with texture, colour and small paths and other details that are mostly missing from the Fenix. The only downside to the AMOLED is that in order to conserve energy, it can't be properly on all the time. It does have an always-on mode activated by default, which dims the backlight and watch face significantly and reduces the second animations. It's still relatively easy to see most of the time though, and a simple raise of the wrist is usually enough to wake it up again fully, so it's not a massive pain. Now, apart from the display making that clear visual difference, the experience of using the Epix to track everyday fitness, health and activities is pretty much identical to the Fenix 7. That's to say, it's very good at what it does, offering a solid GPS signal and relevant information for the activity that you're doing. If you want a bit more depth on what these watches are like for running, you can see more of that in the Fenix 7 review and in the comparison video that we made. However, the long and the short of it is that it's a very comprehensive tool offering pretty much all the data you could need to analyze your performance. The one thing I did notice when testing this watch was that it locked onto the signal quicker when I was starting an activity. That's because this is the sapphire titanium version, which comes with multi-band GPS support. The Fenix 7 I was using doesn't have that. However, there are models of both watches that support it. Garmin Strength isn't just showing data, but analyzing that and presenting it in a useful way. If you do an intensive activity, it'll tell you to rest for longer and tell you how productive your training is, and even suggest workouts for you. It's a really great system. Of course, it also has the body battery feature, which tells you how rested you are, how much rest you might need, and how drained your internal battery is. Of course, it's not just great for running, it's a proper multi-sport watch. We even tested it doing some strength exercises, and it can relatively accurately tell which reps or sets we've done, and which muscle groups were worked the hardest. Now, admittedly, it's not 100% accurate, especially if you're doing weights with single arms, because of course you only have it on one arm, and you can't measure the opposite arm if you're not wearing a watch on it. But if you're doing predominantly 2-arm sets, it's ideal and super useful. As for other daily features, Garmin offers plenty of lifestyle features to make this a genuinely useful everyday watch. But it strategically leaves some bits out in order to keep the battery performance strong. The reasoning behind this is the same as we've seen from the likes of Huawei and Garmin for a few years, in that so-called proper smartwatches with fast refresh displays and interactive notifications need charging virtually every day. Perhaps charging every night isn't an issue to some, but to others it is, and that's where watches like this come in. If, for instance, you want to track your sleep most nights, you obviously can't do that if your watch is on your bedside charging, so you don't get properly interactive replies to messages, etc. However, Garmin does have things like contactless payment services, so if your bank supports it, you can pay with your watch. Likewise, playlists from popular music services like Amazon, Deezer and Spotify can be downloaded for offline listening. Just pair some buds and away you go. And this is all in a watch with a battery that can last quite comfortably about 6 days. And that's with the always on display activated. In our own testing, we got somewhere between 5 and 6 days with 3 or 4 workouts a week, usually around the 30 or 40 minute mark for each of those. But then you switch the always on function off and it'll go 2 weeks. We've known for a little while now that an AMOLED screen-based watch can last quite a long time. Huawei's been doing it for the last couple of years with its watch series. And the Epix certainly shows that the future is indeed bright for this type of technology. We don't think it'll necessarily replace the MIP screened models, because those after all can sometimes go for weeks, if not a month, on a single charge. But this watch brings that feeling of a bright and vibrant proper AMOLED touchscreen into a watch that lasts a long time, relatively speaking, without losing any of the other benefits of having a Garmin watch. It's a fantastic device. Let me know what you think of the Epix 2nd generation in the comments below, or you can grab me on Twitter. I'm at Cam Bunton. If you did like this video, again, please do leave a thumbs up, subscribe and tap the notification bell, and then you don't miss any more of our uploads. I'll see you again in the next one. Bye for now.